Welcome to Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston, PhD. Glenn has held his doctorate in psychology for more than 30 years and is also a former multi-million-dollar consultant to the big food industry and uses his experience to help you defeat your cravings. This show will help you to focus on dramatically reducing cravings and leave the diet mentality behind, so you can more easily and effortlessly achieve your health, fitness, and body composition goals. Please remember, no doctor-patient relationship is created via this show, and you are responsible for confirming any changes to your diet, health, or psychological routines with an appropriately licensed professional before implementing them. Now, before we get started, if you haven't yet downloaded the free smartphone app to access dozens of these recordings all in one place, as well as to avail yourself of a confidential community for support, motivation, and assistance, please visit the podcast link on defeatyourcravings.com as soon as possible. And now, here's your host, Dr. Glenn Livingston.
Hey, it's the very good Dr. Glenn Livingston with defeatyourcravings.com. And who am I here with?
Dr. Howie Jacobson of howiejacobson.com.
And I should say that we are both the PhD type of doctors, not the MD type of doctors, right?
Yep, last time I checked.
Okay. When you notice you aren't there, there you are. The experience of binging is one of non-presence. Many people describe it like they weren't even there. The reason for this is that the brain doesn't want to waste energy in the acquisition of survival resources. It loves that it's found a way to get concentrated calories in an automated fashion without having to think or work for them at all. It thinks binging is keeping you alive, and so it doesn't want your pesky higher brain interfering. This automation might have served our ancestors 100,000 years ago when food was scarce, but it's a biological error in the modern food environment. Cavemen and cavewomen didn't have easy access to all the bags, boxes, and containers we can now get at our local convenience store for precious little effort, money, and time. Today, profiteers in the big food industry have hijacked the brain's tendency to automate for their own greed. What's required today are thoughtful, mindful choices. This requires you to be mindful, present, and aware. Thankfully, the moment you notice that you're not there, you suddenly are there again, because who's the one doing the noticing? This is the beauty of separation in Defeat Your Cravings. By having at least one simple rule, you've set an alarm to wake you up the moment the pig tries to put you on a binge autopilot. You can tell your food monster is active. I interchange food monster and pig sometimes. You can tell the food monster is active, or that automatic routines are firing, because you have thoughts, feelings, impulses, or images in your brain which suggest that you crossed the line set by your rule. So, when you've got even the tiniest inkling there's something inside you which wants to break the rule, you're awake. And awake humans can make choices. All you really need to do is say, I see you, food monster, and I know what you're planning, and you're suddenly back in a position to make a choice. Of course, you've got free will, so you can still choose to binge if you want to, but at least you're awake and in charge, which means you're not powerless, hopeless, and at the mercy of this automating animal that lives inside of you. You've created a space between stimulus and response, and that makes all the difference. When you notice that you aren't there, there you are. What do you think?
Yeah, it reminds me of when I was trying to learn how to meditate, and I kept complaining that I was supposed to count to 10 on my breaths, and then, I'm up to 74. Right. Or I've completely forgotten, and for the last 12 minutes, I've been watching reruns in my head or something. And the meditation teacher would say, good, that's the moment. The moment you realize you're distracted is the moment you're back to meditating.
That's a very powerful tool to take control again.
Yeah. When you start meditating, that's the whole point. It's that moment when you recognize and practice agency. When you start meditating, you're not supposed to get 20 minutes of, theta wave bliss the first time you try it. It's the returning again and again and again. First of all, what's the difference? To be conscious of the difference between being conscious and not being conscious.
Exactly. And that's the beginning of the whole Defeat Your Cravings process. It's just finding that moment. Really, most other growth processes in life, when you find your observing ego so you can make conscious choices.
I have a book manuscript. I thought I had a phrase in there about being aware of awareness of your awareness. Like the worst sentence I've ever written, so I just wanted to share it. But it's the idea that we're always aware. There's always awareness. Even when you say, I was sleeping, You're like, well, how did I know I was sleeping? There was somebody there.
There's a series of studies back in the 70s or 80s, I think. I think the researcher's name was Faulkner. And they woke people up at all different times of the night and asked them what they were thinking. And it turns out that the mind is never blank. Most people don't remember what they were thinking while they were sleeping, but not only in a dream state, but in all the other states of consciousness and levels of sleep while you're under, there's always the thought in the head. And there are varying degrees of complexity and weirdness and intensity, but the mind is never blank. There is always an awareness, and it's just a matter of focusing your attention on it.
And that brings us to the end of today's broadcast of Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston. Now, if you'd like to find out more about the products and services Dr. Glenn offers to help you dramatically reduce your cravings and stop overeating in 90 days or less, please visit defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. That's defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. Thanks.